In the big bilge tank, we'll keep you in the know. In the big bilge tank, we'll fix your techie woes.
And we'll break things and we'll make things till we're all together raking, and
We'll raise a cup of grog down in the big bilge tank. In the big bilge tank, come and join our pirate crew. In the big bilge tank,
We'll show you what to do.
and we'll hack it till we crack it.
and we'll tell the world about it and forget to tidy up.
That's why it's now a bilge tank.
Hello and welcome to Bilge Tank number 16. I'm here with Guru as usual and Sandy J. McDonald, who will be talking about Picade.
Picade special today.
Or in this case, Picade.
So we'll be starting by going over what the Picade is for people who are new to it, and then going deeper into the hacks and how you can modify it, add your own screens, that kind of thing, and what the interfacing is all about. So let's start with Picade, what it is.
Picade, what it is.
You'll do the sales pitch while I hold the box and do the modelling.
You're holding it upside down. Okay, so Picade is an arcade cabinet kit, a small arcade cabinet, as you can see here, that is built around the Raspberry Pi or computer of your choice. So this kit includes everything you need to take a computer of your choice and turn it into an arcade cabinet. So is this the screenless or the 8-inch screen?
8-inch screen,
so
yeah.
this includes an 8-inch screen, for example, which is about yay big, in fact.
Yep, and we have videos on the internet to show you how to build this box here into your actual cabinet. So
yeah, you basically get 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 buttons. Clicking on the joystick. I like these joysticks, they're really clicky. And then all the MDF panels, which are powder coated, which is the most incredible finish you could put on MDF ever, isn't it? Go on.
yeah,
Except for kind of purple velvet or leopard print, which
like velour finish.
I'm still waiting for Sandy to put on his Picade.
Yeah, Sandy's gone for a purple look. He's customised his Picade there. So yeah, purple velour.
Yeah.
We can help with that.
Yeah.
We can cut felt.
Oh yeah,
On
you
the
can
laser
laser
cutters.
it, can't you?
Maybe on the
Yeah.
top.
No, all over.
Can you get
Just-
sticky
yeah.
back felt that you just cut and then just...
Pretty sure you probably
I think
can.
you can, yeah.
We can sort that out. Yeah. Anyway,
You
Yeah.
go home and take it off.
the other thing we have is the custom PCB, which
This
we'll
is
probably get that reasonably
probably
close
the
up.
PS to resistance. Oh, okay, let's go over here. Focus.
So that's the 3-colour silk, just because we wanted to.
So nice.
It comes in blue now, but this was the original red that we printed it in. This is version 2 of it. And what you see here is basically an Arduino chip with an amplifier.
Fellow there.
So it's got 3-watt amplifier for sound output as well.
That is the amp.
Yeah, hooks and speakers up. And with the Picade as a wooden box, it's a great sounding board. And then a load of screw terminals for bare wires that does your inputs, like it does all your buttons and your joystick. And yeah, they just turn up on your Pi or computer as keyboard strokes. So they're really good for lots of things beyond just arcade cabinets. But arcade cabinets are what we really care about.
I think we were planning to use one of these at some point to kind of help automate the Bilge Tank a little bit. So we'll hook one of these up to the Bilge Tank computer, reprogram it to trigger the function keys for vMix.
Yep.
And then just have stonking great big buttons that we can hit and switch to the different cameras without accidentally going to the wrong one or
having a
doing
keyboard.
Uception or any weird.
Just having a
like
keyboard attached to a PC
Yeah.
in view on sets, because that's just a bit.
that. Having that many
That's not
buttons
very
is
us.
confusing.
It's not very
and
piratical.
tricky.
So we've gone through the basics there. It also comes in the console version here, which is if you want to hook it up to your big screen. You see all the gubbins in there.
This
It's
is
just got
definitely one of my favourite of the two because I don't have a lot of space at home. So having console that I can just sit in front of the TV with really works well. And I spent rather too much time fiddling about with this and getting it up and running with the PlayStation as a PlayStation controller. Couldn't make it work with the Xbox for crazy
You just have in the corner
security
there.
reasons.
You just have a little thing. You have the power and the HDMI in the corner here. That's all you need to plug in when you've built it. And yeah, so that's fairly neat.
Cut out there is nice.
Yeah, good build. Yeah, so if you have any questions, again, fire them out in the comments on YouTube and the live comments, the
Try and do
live
a
chat.
double roll of keeping an eye on there and here and everywhere.
Yeah, screens everywhere.
Yeah, it's really hard in here to look at the camera and not yourself in several different places.
Yeah, we're bored talking now and Sandy's been really quiet.
Yeah,
Sandy,
he
tell us
has.
about your customisation for the Picade.
Shall
So
we?
it's built, we've put lots of diagrams on our GitHub, so if you go to github.com/Pimmeroni, look around for the Picade repo. You'll find some mechanical diagrams there that help you if you're cutting your own stuff. If you don't see something you want, bug us until we actually release it and give you the dimensions.
We're usually pretty easygoing about that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
want to see more cool mods. Mods are cool.
Do you want to get it on the close-up?
Let's go to the close-up camera, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
so basically about 3 months ago now, I think it was,
Give or
I
take.
came down here and originally I decided I wanted to put some NeoPixel LEDs behind the marquee to light it up. But then when I actually tried it with the kind of card sort of decal thing that was on the marquee, you couldn't really see them all that well through it. I mean, it did light it up, but it wasn't like really bright. So I thought what I would do would be, rather than just having the kind of 2 layers of perspex with the card between, I would actually laser cut a layer of purple perspex with the Picade logo, and then this clear perspex layer on the front has got the Picade logo etched on it. So when the NeoPixels shine through, then you get a kind of white Picade logo on a purple background.
It's a really cool effect from an angle because it kind of looks like it's popping out a bit.
Yeah,
I like the two-tone depth effect that it gives.
Yeah.
So this is basically just 2 strips of 9 NeoPixels, and they are hooked up to a Trinket Pro, so a little tiny Arduino board that's mounted on the bottom inside in the Picade.
Shall we try and get them? Let's cut the lights
We're gonna-
to see the crazy lighting effect first.
Do it, man.
Where's
And then we'll try and give them a look inside. The lights are the black one on the far right.
Prepare for special effects.
Whoa!
Ta-da!
Ta-da!
Okay,
Well,
now we're sat in the dark.
We're all in the dark. So as you can see, there's what's underneath lighting it up. It's
So these are
super bright.
illuminated buttons.
Oh,
I think
nice.
they're Seimitsu, which is
That
a
sounds like a button brand. They're
Yeah,
all
so-
got that kind of name.
Yeah,
Japanese.
there are kind of 2 major brands. There's Seimitsu and Sanwa, isn't there?
Yeah. So the joysticks are Sanwa, so I changed the joystick as well. There's also a NeoPixel ring underneath the joystick, well, kind of in the recess where the joystick sticks through. And I've just put a little bit of frosted perspex on the top to kind of diffuse the light. So those NeoPixels in the ring are chained directly to the ones that are in the marquee here. And it's all hooked up to the Trinket Pro that is kind of controlling the kind of flashing of the lights.
So that works as a single NeoPixel strip in code.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
So you shove the data out, it goes across the top and then down to the bottom,
Yeah.
essentially. And the edge lighting on the perspex has come out really well
It
as well.
really does look good, especially on camera.
It's
I
very
like that.
bling, isn't it?
Yeah. It's tasteful and understated.
Yeah.
You've kept to one part of the spectrum rather than rainbows, which is, yeah, that's hella dedication.
Looks like I'm holding a white hot piece of metal.
Cameras, man, cameras. Always cameras. Talking about the top as well, you've recut it there, but normally in the kit we have a piece of paper you sandwich between 2 bits of perspex. Just watch us talking in the dark now. Let's bring the lights back on and hope they don't explode.
Whoa!
Ow. Yeah, so the idea there is that piece of paper that's sandwiched between 2 bits of perspex, you can find some artwork online for whichever old arcade cabinet you liked. You can cut it out. Again, those are available on the GitHub as a PDF. Print them out on a couple of pieces of A4, cut them out, and just have your own artwork for Donkey Kong, Bubble Bobble, whatever. Speaking of which, Kirby G asked, what's your favourite game to play on the Picade? Sandy?
Probably Mega Man.
Mega Man.
Big fan of Mega Man.
Right. Never played it. That
No.
sounds Japanese.
Come on.
What's it all about? What's the good thing? What's the joy?
You're a little guy with a kind of helmet thing on. It's kind of it's a platformer. It's kind of like
Yeah.
Mario.
Okay.
It's on that kind of theme.
Yeah.
But some of it is like really. It's a lot harder than Mario Brothers, I'd say. It's,
Right. You get
truly-
power-ups and bigger weapons.
Yeah, I think you do actually. Yeah.
What's your favourite game, man?
Yeah. I thought the premise was that you kill people who have really weird themes like Waterman, and then you get the ability to water.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then suddenly you're a gardener
Yeah.
watering the flower. I
Yeah.
don't know.
So,
I can water now.
yeah.
So, Phil, your favourite game?
My favourite game, I had time to think about it, so is Columns from the Mega Drive. It's dumb and simple, but it's my one go-to game
Yeah.
that A, I'm reasonably good at, and B, I can just pick up and play without having to worry about levels or saving or any of that nonsense. It's just a nice throwaway, easy play.
With good gameplay, never goes out of style.
True.
That's why
I
we still
get
play
in
these
the
things.
zone with Columns. I'm kind of, I'm playing Columns. I have become one with Columns.
Because Phil's been a big supporter of Open Pandora as well.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, you've had that
Very much
handheld
love that.
everywhere you go.
Have you
The
finished
thing
your
is-
Mega Drive?
No, I haven't finished my Mega Drive. It started really ambitiously, and then I got the RF inverter working, so you can actually get a really cheesy old RF signal out of it, and it looks kind of authentically terrible. And then I got hung up on doing the PCBs for the joystick things, which I just need to find parts, order in parts, send off the PCBs and all that kerfuffle. It's not like I don't do that every day anyway. So I'm not sure what the hold up is, but I think I'm going to grab some parts and prototype that, possibly with a Picade PCB, because that would make things a lot easier.
Cool. And for me, it is Bubble Bobble. You see,
I was
Bubble
waiting
Bob
for that.
Oh, yeah,
back
that
here.
as well. Yeah.
It's the only reason I want my Picade when I finally get time to build it, just so I can play Bubble Bobble in the arcade style endlessly. It's what I do when I go to New York. Brooklyn, you see me wearing the t-shirt, Barcade in Brooklyn, around Union Street, I think. They have old arcade cabinets and Bubble Bobble is in there, and I spend hours drinking craft beer and playing that. So that's awesome.
Like a plan. That sounds like
Yeah.
a plan.
What else? Richard Collins says, my display looks like an out-of-tune TV. Changing HDMI cable seems to make it a bit better. Is my controller board broken? Sounds like there's a problem there somewhere. Send us a photo to support@pimaroni.com and we'll take a look at it. If you have, sorry, but we've got a bit of a support burden at the moment because we're dealing with all the zero orders and all the adapter cables and Black Friday. And it's coming up to Christmas.
Yeah,
but
it's been pretty busy.
we're getting on top of it. Today's a good day, you know, when we're not bilge tanking. So, Richard, get in touch with us. We'll sort you out. We always do.
So now we've got the lights up. Let's actually take a look inside the.
Cool.
Do you want to?
In the back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Go on, bring it on. So you've hidden
Move
the little
these
stash of
round
sweets
and
behind
sweets.
there. We can tell.
So we've talked about the Picade board, which is one of our custom bits of it. The other bit is your computer, and then you've got joystick buttons, sound, and the display, which hopefully we're going to see now.
So we've got mounting holes on the back panel of the Picade for, is it a micro ITX board?
A mini ITX board.
Mini ITX.
Yeah.
Okay, I've totally
It's not-
lost the plot with PC motherboards.
It's not going to turn actually.
Oh! Whoa!
Our monitor screen just went flying.
Still working.
Never mind, we can't see what we're doing.
I did it just the blue tack earlier.
Yeah, I think that's just a power cable there. As
We're just gonna
Sandy, turn around the other way, Sandy.
Shall we route
Yes.
the cables underneath?
Yeah,
and
it's
Yeah.
a good idea.
lift it over the top.
We'll get inside, hopefully without breaking
We'll
everything.
get inside. Yay! Right, we're lined up.
Right, well you better do that.
The glowing.
It's a bit of a mess inside.
Welcome to the chaos tank.
Ta-da.
Oh, the Chaos Engine, that was alright. Syndicate, man. I haven't played Syndicate in years.
Oh yeah.
Back when Molyneux could make all the games.
That looks a little bit safer now.
So that's the Raspberry Pi and a Pibo. That's the driver board for the display. You've got speakers on either side. That's the power supply for the 12-inch display because it's got separate power brick. And then somewhere in the middle of all those cables is that's the Trinket Pro. There's also the SN3218 Pi Glow driver board. So that's basically what is
doing the buttons.
Yeah, so
I
that's
remember
doing
this.
that's doing the illuminated buttons. And then there's a
You
little
may be the only person to use one of those in a project.
there's a little mini breadboard in the middle to connect everything up.
Cool. So
it's-
pretty sweet build.
Yeah.
Fairly neat. Yeah, speaking of Pi Glows, awesome little project this week. We're just going to have an aside to that.
Oh, we got a section again.
So if you check out YouTube, DJaz, who's on the chat now, I think, posted his Raspberry Pi PiGlow FFT audio visualizer, which looks amazing. Well, you've got some beats to go with it. So boom, 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 boom,
You're not
boom,
syncing up.
boom. But it shows you the different beats there, and the way they're tied up on the FFT is really quite nice. The FFT is the fast Fourier transform, which is just how you can quickly analyse audio to see which frequencies are in it. So this looks absolutely amazing, and the code is on their GitHubs. If you look in the comments, the code is there, GitHub gist, and you can find it on our shop as well, obviously. PiGlow has always been a nice little weird fish, a great deal as well. For
It's
like
simple
£6.
but effective. It's been
Yeah.
phenomenally popular for something that is basically just a bunch of LEDs on a board.
Mhm.
Also a tiny PiGlow in the bottom corner there that I've just
That's a
noticed.
reflection or something? What?
It must be a reflection of the reflection.
From the camera lens or
Yeah,
something?
it's-
Or it might be just be a effect of the lenses in the camcorder because it's moving. No. Anyway, great project that was.
Did GCHQ not use PiGlows? Did they not have a big like Raspberry Pi cluster that had?
Oh, with PiGlows as the
PiGlows on-
indicators on the front.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, we wouldn't know
They-
about that. It's terribly secret. So let's talk about the screens in the Picade for a bit. Sandy's sporting the 12.1 inch screen, which basically we can't get anymore. It went out of production about 3 years ago, and we've found some existing stocks that have been sitting in warehouses in Vietnam, literally, and turn up via Korea to Shenzhen now and again, but they seem to be dwindling massively. There's also the 8-inch version, and we're currently looking for better screens, but we want to give you some advice on what you need to look for when you're looking for a screen for the Picade. Let's go back to the chat, see what people are saying.
Basically, looking for a screen is a pretty common problem because people want 12-inch.
Yeah.
We can't stock it because there just aren't any in quantity, and there
Mhm.
are places to find it. So we like to nudge you in the right direction for finding it without nudging too hard, because if it goes horribly wrong, it's your problem, not ours.
A lot of people say, kind of, I've got a screen in an old laptop, can I just use that? The answer is often no. Very specific reasons for that. There are, when you're getting a bare panel like this, we've got an example here that I'll take you through, a few selections. There's actually one of the Rocking Horse Apple's 12-inch screens. That screen on its own does very little. We've got the 8-inch screen. I'll actually show you the one we're looking at, which might be a successor to that, once we've given it a test and can make sure we can get stock of it. These screens have basically 3 interfaces these days. You have RGB stroke TTL stroke parallel, so parallel RGB TTL signalling. We have LVDS, which is what the 12-inch screen uses, and then newer screens have started using embedded DisplayPort. So there are basically 3 interfacing things. They don't all have the same connectors, they don't all have the same wiring, and that's the problem when you come to take a screen out of a laptop. Most of them will be probably LVDS, but you don't have the specific loom or interfacing to turn LVDS or RGB into something your Pi understands. It's interesting, there is actually one other thing which is DSI, which is what the touchscreen on the Pi uses, but that doesn't really come into that too much. You can mount a touchscreen in the Picade. We've got the different interfaces here, so this is basically a parallel RGB board. That works with the 8-inch screen. Then we have an LVDS board, a bit more complex there, but again it's got the pins out here which go to the connector on the screen. And then we've got the very new embedded DisplayPort board. This is actually an LVDS board with an adapter for the embedded DisplayPort. And what you really need to do when you're shopping for a screen on eBay, you need to make sure it fits inside the MIDI cabinet, the retail cabinet, which I think is 265mm wide. Again, if you look on the GitHub, there is PDFs there, so you can look at that and say, does my screen at the extreme dimension fit into that thing? And then if you're looking on eBay, does it come with an adapter board like this that will turn it into HDMI, which is very easy to interface with your computer, Pi, whatever. Most things have some kind of HDMI. Obviously, if you want VGA, look out for VGA. If you're using it as a second screen as well for your laptop or something. Some of them even have audio out. This is the one we're looking at for the embedded DisplayPort. Not for Picade specifically, because most of the embedded DisplayPort devices are full HD and they're just too damn wide for the Picade. If you just want to hold up this one here.
Yeah, this is. I'll hold it next to one that.
So this is a beautiful screen, quite reasonably cheap. It's 1980 by 1080. It's also too damn wide for the
You
cabinet.
could kind of slot in the side and just slide it in there, but.
Yeah, but again, a lot of old games just don't take it anyway.
No.
Then we have our original 12-inch, which fits in the Picade cabinet
See the difference
perfectly.
between the two of those.
Yeah,
It's insane.
and has a little bit of give as well for slightly larger screens.
Snap the screen.
So there you go. That was kind of the biggest 4:3 screen we could find that fit in there. Then we got a new screen we're trying out. So this is a new 12-inch screen.
Putting fingerprints all over your Picade. Sorry.
This is a lot thicker. If you look at
This is
this,
heavy.
Yeah.
Let's take a side on.
It's really thick.
Side on. You can
Look at
see
that.
this one is about twice the thickness, give or take, and
twice, three
maybe
times.
3 times the weight.
It's also only 800 by 600.
got all this driver board nonsense on the back here. And
Yeah.
it's
So
quite-
we're going to see whether that really makes sense with the Picade because it's chunky.
we're very particular about choosing a nice screen.
Yeah.
It fits.
But if you can find something that's kind of a good ratio, has HDMI out, is supplied with the driver boards on eBay, and is less than 265 millimeters wide, then it will probably work with the Picade. So you can go around shopping for your own screen, and if you get the bring your own screen kit, the BYO screen kit, you can put whatever screen you like in it that fits, or even cut slots inside to have an extended screen, like Phil says. You could probably you could have it mounted in front of the cabinet, which would be a bit weird.
you could do.
But
It
yeah,
would-
it's
it'd
possible.
be a bit weird.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So get a kit with all that in. This is also, we mentioned this. This is the update to the 8-inch screen we're looking at, which again is about half the thickness.
It's a
Very
dinky
available.
little thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So that could be the new. That's now in mass manufacture, and obviously we want to keep up with mass manufacture really. So hopefully that'll make it into next revisions once we've given it a thorough test. Don't expect it anytime soon because we need time to do this.
Quite easy to see from the comparison why people tend to favour the 12-inch of the
Ooh,
18.
the other one we haven't shown here.
Oh,
we've
yeah.
we've got the old iPad screens are still out there in surplus quantities. They are 9.7 inches, 1024768, and probably a reasonable price. So we're looking at those as well.
They are
She's
about
got
dead
those.
on between these two screens, I think, so they're
Yeah.
a pretty nice compromise.
Yeah, so we might look at that as an option as well. DJaz asks, what about power for the screens? Generally, you can just about power the 8-inch screen with a 5-volt supply, and that's why we provide the cable. Generally works with a Pi 2. The only caveat is when you got that and the Picade controller, you can brown out the Pi a little bit when you get peaking audio. So if you have the audio too loud, go to a separate 5-volt power supply for your Picade board.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So these have all got little power headers on.
Sorry,
the
go for a separate 5-volt power supply for your screen. Obviously, the Picade board is plugged into the flipping Pi.
Oh yeah, you can't.
Yeah, you can't do that.
You can't do that for
That's
your screen.
ridiculous. I
These
don't know why you didn't
screens all
stop
have
me.
barrel jack adapters on them as well that take
Yeah.
12 volts in general. If
Yep.
you stick a good 12-volt power supply in there, then you're
And we
basically
provide we provide the little
no trouble whatsoever.
we provide the little USB thing as well, so you can plug that into a USB power supply. It means you have 2 power supplies rather than 1 for the mini screen, the 8-inch
Some
screen.
guys
But
on the forum have found like a weird power supply that splits off into 5-volt and 12-volt.
yeah,
It's
they're,
a
supplies,
mini PC power supply. I
they're
think.
based on old PC power supplies. Yeah. Yeah, so the bigger screens there are all 12 volts because they take too much power, and having 5 volts and like 4 or 5 amps is just a bit ridiculous. So they need 12 volts and 1, maybe 2 amps at best. So generally powering them by barrel jacks and 12-volt power supplies is a lot better. Yeah, it depends on which screen you get, but most of them are either 5-volt capable, but they will generally take 12 volts, or they'll be 12 volts. Yeah. What else? Have you tried NVIDIA Game Stream playing Steam games? It works great on the official Raspberry Pi display.
Does it?
We haven't, but we're glad you have, DJaz. Yeah.
How performant is it? Because I tried it on my laptop because I couldn't be bothered to get out of bed and go play StarCraft on my PC, and it was just a little bit sluggish. It wasn't.
On your laptop? Maybe you should upgrade to a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, maybe I should upgrade to a Raspberry. Well,
Yeah.
it depends what people have ported it to and how far ahead of the curve it is and what optimizations it's got. So I think there's the what's it, Moon something client? I can't remember.
Moonlight, yeah.
Moonlight, that's the one.
Will an iPad Pro screen fit? Probably not.
No.
It's got all that iPad around it.
Well,
We would have an iPad Pro on hand.
Yeah, I'm not sure about it.
That needs
The
eyes.
pencil's lovely, but the actual iPad Pro, it's you don't want to fall asleep.
I don't want to. I don't want to hold
Watching
this
that,
thing
just
for fear of breaking it.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that a
pretty
MagSafe
robust.
connector?
No, it's for the keyboard thing. Anyway, no, iPad Pro screen will, yeah. DJS says it's very much playable for me.
Nice.
I
I'll
think
have to
he
give that a
knows.
try.
He seems pretty serious about what he does.
Game stream.
Mm.
So I've got a Fat DAC here. Ooh. And the Fat DAC is our new pretty damn affordable DAC, which, if you don't know what DAC is, it'll take the nice clean digital audio output from your Raspberry Pi and it'll turn it into a really nice clean line out. And line out just so happens to be exactly what you want to be putting into the Picade amplifier. So if you're not quite content with the default output option on your Raspberry Pi, which is it's good enough for most people, but we know there's hissing that gets amplified up and can get some slightly.
Well, the thing is, for the
Naff
Zero
sounds.
anyway, you're going to have to.
The Zero,
You're going to have to hack a circuit anyway. You can hack audio out of like pin 18, basically recreating what they do on the Pi 2 and the B+.
which is going to sound as terrible as the Pi 2.
It's alright for chiptunes, you know. All arcade games.
Authentic.
You know, a little bit of hiss and that.
Yeah, if you want to pimp your Picade audio, then Fat DAC is a pretty decent way to go because it gets you a
Yeah.
DAC at a reasonable cost with a line out already set up. So
And that's pretty relevant because somebody has already hacked a Pi Zero into an Xbox controller, which,
That-
awesome.
into in
No, I think it gets
No,
better.
it's
That's
fine.
just the first thing.
here
You
we
see
go.
them pulling apart the whole thing here, and look at that.
To be fair, you
Come
could
on,
probably
Phil, you
fit
can't
an
argue
original
with that.
Pi into the Xbox controller. But yeah, that is a very nice hack.
Yeah. So you've got a very comprehensive hack and information here. And there you go, there it is.
I feel like
Working.
you should do this with a Dreamcast controller,
Yeah.
but since there's already a slot in Dreamcast controllers, it wouldn't be much of a challenge. It's like, drop it in, done.
But there you're okay because you've got the HDMI audio, which is perfectly fine.
Oh, yeah.
Digital audio. Again, another way to get audio out of your
Yeah,
Zero.
if you use one of these driver boards, I guess then you can just siphon off the HDMI audio and have decent sound that way.
Yeah.
So,
So
got a-
Terence Edent on Twitter, well done. That's a nice job.
Sweet.
Yeah.
He's only gone and bloody done it.
Will it be possible to stack multiple fats? Yes, as long as they don't share pins in a destructive way.
Again, this is what Pinout will be endeavouring to cover. We're trying to put together a list of all the different pins that every add-on uses and provide a tool that will answer the question, will these add-ons work together, without you having to manually figure out whether they'll work together.
Yeah.
So
we'll be
it's
surveying-
a work in progress.
Surveying all the stuff out there, and then you can just pick stuff and work out the conflicts. Also, Unicorn Hat doesn't work with analog audio. Reason I had to use my Pi Glow. It does, but you need to do things like change which pins the Unicorn Hat is using. That's been done by Gordon at IQ
Did you do
Audio.
that, or did he use his DAC in combination with the Unicorn
He used his
Hat to
DAC in
basically
combination, but
completely
he-
skirt around the problem?
He had to still rechange the pin because
Yeah.
the PWM is used.
So I don't
already.
think there's any way to make analog and thingy work because it uses the hardware at a low level. I'm not sure though.
Hmm.
You could multiplex it possibly, but
Yeah,
Yes.
the iPad Pro is good for technical manuals. I use it to have my sewing machine technical manual next to me.
how
And
big do you need a
patterns.
technical manual? I guess.
You know about page size?
Uh,
A4 page, you know, just.
is that the size of an A4 page? I was looking at the surface there.
Well, 12 inches, 12.9 inches.
Can't mentally
What's
convert that
that
into
in real?
centimeters, but it's like 29 point something centimeters as an A4 page.
Yeah. So, 12.
Wait,
say
we do the
13
maths.
in millimetres. 330 millimetres.
Okay, yeah, it's,
There you go,
it's
just
pretty,
over an A4
pretty
page.
close.
Yeah. When are the
Yeah.
Picades back in stock? We are waiting for PCBs to be built. I think we're waiting for a couple of things like rigid corners, which we're buying in 10 and 20,000s at the moment.
It's quite great getting a
Astonishing.
bag of them out.
It's basically like a really sharp ball pit, isn't it?
Dive in.
Dump into
Ow.
it. Yeah, it's keeping all the bits in stock in Picade. It's got so many moving parts and bits in the kit. It's like 150 pieces in the normal kit, which is just insanely amazing.
Yeah.
It takes a while to kit it, and we keep having stock problems. So expect them to be back in stock in less than a week. Gregor asks, will there be Timber Pybos again? I'd like a Timber Pybo Zero
I've
very
said
much.
this one recently before, and I'd like Timber Pybos to make a comeback.
We're considering it, yeah. The wooden case was very popular.
They're so nice, but
Zero, because it's got less layers, we could actually do it again.
I wonder if you could
Yeah.
vacuum pack it so it doesn't get any moisture problems in flight or something like that.
You could probably try that, yeah. But we've seen kind of a couple of other wood cases out there using ply, and we're thinking, no, time to bring back the proper hardwoods and
Yeah, I was
softwoods.
going to say ply works, but that's because ply isn't really that wood anymore. You kind of get your two alternating layers, and that gives it strength because you've got two different grains.
Yeah.
And timber obviously has one grain running through it, so if you cut against a grain, it goes.
Yeah. I've just worked out that we spent ages working out what about 12 inches was in millimetres. Well, we've had rulers, 30 centimetre rulers since we were kids. I feel so idiotic.
Oh yeah, good point. How many inches were
Yeah,
those?
the 0 cases in wood for Pi Zero. I don't know if that's stained ply or not, but Zebra have been doing some good cases. And the Plus
I
version,
think
yeah.
the living hinge guys, what they'll do,
Yeah.
like
They
two
do
ends
kind of
and then something
sweet-
will go over the top.
Yeah.
It kind
So
of
they
looks
come
a bit like
good.
an air raid bunker, but it's
They've
cool.
done some good work. Yeah. Any other questions about Picade?
We have to wait 20 seconds for people to answer that.
Yeah. Andrew Singleton, am I reading this right? And you're working with Five Ninjas about the slice? We're selling the slice on the Pimoroni store because we think there's an audience there and it's got compute module and it's kind of cool. The relationship is that me and John also are part of the Five Ninjas. We are two of those Five Ninjas. That's where the relationship creeps in there. Another two are Gordon and James from the Raspberry Pi Foundation, and the fifth is the guy who came to us with the media centre idea, Mo Verland. So they are the Five Ninjas. Yeah,
Stand-up guys as well.
yeah, we're all
Right,
ninjas.
so that's truly ninjas. Truly
Yeah.
ninjas. Yeah.
Okay, so I think we've covered a lot of ground there in what you can do with your Picade. Phil, do you want to talk a bit about interfacing and how just what's going on with the
nice
screw
cool stuff.
terminals?
Just a quick word about the joystick while I've got one in my hand, but a few people get problems with it when they build up their Picade. If you have a weird feeling or sticky joystick, check the wiring underneath it, because I put together one so many times where wires have got stuck in the underside of the joystick assembly that it happens. There's nothing there to stop wires going in. Just make sure it's nice and clear and roomy around the joystick.
So we include some little white plastic cable tie mounts, which
Yeah,
you can
use those.
rip the adhesive off, stick it to the side of the Picade panels, and then use that to retain your cables and make them neat. You've got some cable ties in there as well, so you can stick those around bundles of cables and keep them out of the way of stuff.
I think I can actually get a look
Yeah.
inside one of these Picades.
So this is Connor Special. He's done a
General-
really neat job on
It's
this.
so nice and
Close
tight.
up camera, because
Yeah,
that
see,
will
that'll
actually
be a bit
refocus
lighter.
on stuff. And
Oh
do
yeah, there you
lower
go.
light. Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's weird where the consumer camera is actually more used than the pro camera.
It's just flexible, isn't it?
Yeah, it's meant to, just make things easy. So look at that, very neat cabling. It's got the cable tie at the bottom there. Keeps everything nice and orderly. Yeah.
So basically, the Picade board is a series of inputs. So we've got these, how many inputs? We've got the bank of joystick inputs, bank of button inputs, and yet another bank of function inputs, and a bank of button inputs. And then on each of these banks, there's a common ground pin. And the idea is that you have a button such as this, which when you press it, connects the two terminals together. What you're doing is connecting one of the wires from a button to the common ground. So when you press the button, it pulls that wire down to ground, or it shorts that wire down to ground, in fact. Each of these input terminals is pulled weakly up to 5 volts. So when you're reading your button input signal, if you look at the Picade code, which is on GitHub in the Picade sketch repo, you'll notice that it looks through the buttons and looks for the inputs to go to a low. So when you're pressing a button down, you're actually shorting it to ground, which pulls that really weak pull-up resistor, defeats it and pulls it down to ground, because when you're pulling up to 5 volts through a 10k resistor and you're pulling down to ground through nothing at all, then your net current or your net voltage at the terminal is going to be ground, pretty much. So that's how it reads the input signals, and that means you can connect stuff like buttons and joysticks and all manner of other things as long as they're closing a signal. So if you wanted to use this to connect up to a computer and use to trigger end stops in a XY axis machine, or if you wanted to use it to trigger read sensors, which would probably work with it. Lord knows what other things actually.
Well, you can rewrite the code. It's got
You
analog
can
inputs.
rewrite the code. It's got like you say, a bunch of analog inputs. I have no idea which on here are the analog inputs and what they're connected to.
Yeah, probably quite a few of them.
Really
If you look at the X Mega chip, you can see the pin out,
It's
see
not
which are the
showing
analog.
inputs.
Yeah, and then you can rewrite the codes, upload it to this, and make it do your own things. Really, make it do kind of trackballs and things.
You could quite easily
Make it
get
do
to
analog
trackball.
joysticks for flight
What's the
sims.
header for? What's that for?
That's the programming
That is
header.
the programming header, but
Oh,
you do
okay.
incidentally on the programming header have a few pins that you can use in code. So the programming header is mainly for our purposes only. So when we program these, we stick a little cable on there and we flash the bootloader and we flash the firmware. Once that process is done, you've got on this header, you've got the power and the ground pins, and then you've got the SPI, Mozzie, Meso, clock, and reset. All of those pins, including the reset, although you should never use it as such, can be repurposed as an output or an input. So you can actually use this header. We need to get some documentation up, kind of for Picade hacking, really, don't we?
Well, if people look for it or ask
If
about
you,
it,
if you, yeah,
get
if you ask
curious.
about it, it
Yeah.
will appear. But you can use this header to add some additional buttons to your Picade. So, for example, if you wanted to, if you had one of those magical little circle saw things, you wanted to pop a couple of extra holes in the side, or you did a recut of the top because you're like 8 buttons, then you can very easily add 2 additional buttons to the Picade and stick them on the Mozzie and Meso headers of this board.
Yep.
So that's a good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
So there's your roundup of what you can do with the Picade. A couple of other news items. There is a Humble Bundle this week. That's not
Oh,
a
yeah.
Humble Bundle. Humble Bundle, which is Arduino and Raspberry Pi books from Make. A lot of them.
I had a look at this. There's a ridiculous number of books.
Yeah, and generally all the
Yep,
ones, all the getting started with Raspberry Pi and that, they're written by people like Matt Richardson, who now works for the foundation. Generally, they're written by authors you trust and friendly types.
These are books we actually stock for the most part, I think.
Yeah.
I've seen some. We've got a cupboard at the end here that's got a few of these in.
Yeah. But if you wanted a load of PDFs for really not much money,
If you've
and
got
to
the
help
iPad
charity,
Pro, then you're good to go, really.
there you go. That's a good bundle this week. Just to remind you, there's the URL for the Picade on the shop. Let's get that up.
It's so very.
Let's go small. If you want Sandy's blog there, sandyjmcdonald.github.io. He's got a Picade article there, which goes through
Oh, this is a
all
really nice article. Where's the errata article as well?
errata.
There's a link at the top of it.
So there's an errata post for everything you got
Oh,
wrong
is that
and
the
put
update?
right.
Yeah, this is.
So 80s.
The renders are so nice.
Yeah. So more detail, what we've talked about today. Brilliant. Was there anything else? Just the instructions. Yeah, we've gone through those already. So yeah, there you go.
Oh, we mentioned the console build instructions.
Console build instructions. So if you look for Connor Plant's videos, Connor Plant has a new build for the Picade console. If you want a bit of help building that, look out for that on YouTube. Search for Connor Plant. I'm sure he's got a channel somewhere. And we'll have those on the Learning Portal soon with that embedded video. Just for funsies. Right.
I
I want to say thank you to Sandy for coming all the way down from York.
Thank you. Lugging his Picade on the train.
Yeah.
That was
She
fun.
could be doing life-saving science right now, but this is important. Yeah. You're normally a scientist, aren't you? I
Yeah,
say normally a scientist.
yeah. So I do data analysis, like
Yep.
random Python stuff.
Do you wear a white coat?
Not anymore. I used
Okay.
to.
You used to.
When
You
I
have
was
to
doing
hang
my
up the
PhD.
white coat.
Yeah, when I was doing my
Optionally wear a
PhD.
white coat.
Yeah.
I could if I wanted to.
Are you like professor, doctor,
Doctor.
Dr.
Yeah,
Dr.
Dr.
Sandy?
Sandy.
Yeah. So you can wear a coat and just walk into a hospital and just start doing stuff. Yeah?
They don't like
That's
that.
exactly
Okay.
how it works.
Yeah, I've tried that. They don't like it.
Okay.
I'm a doctor, don't you know?
Andy Quee says, where is the fat guide?
What?
Where is the fat guide?
Where's the fat guide?
Where is the fat guide?
Fat
So
guide.
generally the first place you will see any
Oh,
new
this
code
is
or
the
guides,
fat
you will find them on
guide.
our GitHub. I think we're just in the middle of writing up things like the fat DAC, the scroll hat.
Basically, yeah, we've been
Yeah.
caught red-handed with the not enough time to do any software. But there is now a Learning Portal article for setting up Fat DAC.
Yep.
Explorer Fat, is basically the same as Explorer Hat and Explorer Hat Pro. in that you use the same software library, but still need to write some examples and some larger documentation around that. What else have we got? Scrollfat, there is a GitHub repo which is currently being contributed to by a few awesome guys. There'll be more examples, more documentation, and more learning portal articles about that soon. Hey, it's pretty much just me, so all the people who are contributing to GitHub, anyone submitting a pull request, even if you file an issue that asks for a feature, that's useful and that's excellent, so keep doing it, thank you.
Yep. And obviously you started shipping out Flotilla today as well, which makes you cry tears.
I actually found 10 minutes to add tilt control to Flotilla today.
Yeah.
So I was sitting there with my phone making a robot drive backwards.
So you load the
That's very cool.
you load the Rockable interface on your phone, enable tilt as an input from your phone, and as you tilt your phone, you can make robots move and stuff.
Granted, the Rockpool interface is still a little bit touchy on a phone because it's so small a screen.
Yeah,
Unless
we'll
you've
have
got
to rejig
probably
that,
one of
but-
those crazy giant new iPhones. you're
Again.
probably right, but
yeah, software will improve over time.
yeah.
Right. Thanks very much for watching, and don't forget to like.
Comment.
Subscribe.
And
Yeah!
get things.
Right. See you, folks.
Bye bye.
Bye.